Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to the Bootcamp Blueprint, the place where personal trainers go to grow their bootcamp and social media. I'm super excited this week because we have one of the leaders and the top fitness professionals in the New Zealand fitness industry, if not the leader and the top professional. In his business, he covers health coaching, epigenetics, 12-week challenges, small group training, corporate health, speaking, and healthy eating. So we have a former winner of the New Zealand Personal Trainer of the Year in 2016, a regular FITEX presenter, a mentor to many personal trainers, and someone that I look up to myself. So without further ado, we have the director for Fit for Life, the director of the PT Mentor, the one and only Mr. Richard Ellis. Richard, how are you?
I'm brilliant. Thank you for such an incredible intro. Cheers, Jono. Good to be here, and thanks for taking the time to put so much time into spreading the message, spreading the word, and putting things out there that, it's really appreciated, I think, from many corners, the amount of effort that you put in in terms of sharing your knowledge and putting stuff out there and sharing these sorts of conversations.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Richard. And I'm super excited to hear what you have to say because I've been following you for a while. I've been going to all your presentations, all your social media. But before we get into that, I like to start all my podcasts off with a quote or mantra that inspires you or fires you up. Have you got one for us, Richard?
I've got a couple. It's interesting. I actually did a bit of a listen to your podcast earlier to get my head into your space. And one of the things that I've actually been using as a message alert on my phone for a long time is Yoda's quite well-known comment, which is do or do not, there is no try. And that's my message alert. Every time someone texts me, that's something I hear. And that's a really good way of ingraining it into this bit because there is no try. And so that's kind of one of my main mantras. And the other one I wanted to share, I know one's ideal, but I'd had to share the other one, which was title of a book that I read. And also another thing that I like to keep top of mind is feel the fear, but do it anyway. And, that's something I've been working on for a long time. It's not, success doesn't come easily, and it takes persistence and, a bit of sweat and tears sometimes. To get outside your comfort zone is where the magic happens. And I know, everyone's probably heard that 1,000 times, but it is the truth. And so, overcoming those fears and doing things you probably wouldn't normally do every day is a great way of progressing your business and your career. So those two.
Love it. I can't agree more. The whole Yoda quote is my favorite of all time as well. So I'm super excited you brought that up because it just keeps us accountable to ourselves more than anything, right? If we're going to do something, let's do it or let's not do it. And I love the second one even more as well because let me think of the best way to put that. So what I like about that is if success was easy, everybody would do it. Right. So I sort of think if something is hard and something scares me, I see that as a positive because I'm like, okay, cool. Here's an opportunity for me to maybe do something that other people wouldn't do. And the fact that it's scary and it's hard, okay, cool. That might be the thing that gets me ahead because if you're only going to do what's easy, you're not going to get ahead because everyone does that anyway. So I love both of those. But what I'd like to talk about today, Richard, so I'm a huge fan of yours, and just for our listeners out there, I met Richard a couple years ago. I went to FITEX in 2016, and he won Personal Trainer of the Year, so I was super excited to meet him, and I had a bit of a chat, and then next year I went to a presentation. I didn't actually remember it was you, so I just saw the name. I was like, don't be a vanilla trainer. I'm like, I'm going to that. Walked straight in, and then it was Richard. I was like, oh, this guy, I remember I met him last year, so that was a good bit of growth just seeing that there. And then I see you're presenting again this year. And then I just, that's one of the things I love about you. You're always growing, always educating. And that's why you're in the position you're in. So that's ideally what I'd like to chat about today, Richard. And if you could share our listeners, hey, how did you get to the position you're in now? And if we could just drop some of those nuggets along the way, some of maybe we can go a couple of ways. We can either say if there's a mistake that you've made, maybe you can share that, and because that's a learning experience and might save someone else from making that learning experience, and just the successful things you've done as well that someone might be able to take away immediately and go for it. How does that sound?
Sure, sounds good. Yeah, I'll try and make it as succinct as possible.
Awesome.
Well, so I've been in the industry about 10 years, and I think I think the beginning stages were, it was all about passion and wanting to help people and make a difference. But not having been in business on my own previously, I'd worked in other businesses, I'd run other businesses, and that's all very well. But it's not until you're actually in your own business for yourself that the reality bites, because the buck stops with you, and really your only boss is the bank manager potentially. So it took me a while to find my feet and work out what model worked best. And, I tried to cover as much ground as possible. I did some outdoor group stuff. I did some indoor group stuff. And I did some one-on-one. So the good thing with that mixture for me was that it had different cash flow potential. So I would have, larger lump sums coming from individual people. I'd have smaller amounts coming from the groups at different intervals. So from a business model point of view, once that clicked, everything seemed to go from there, and it improved to the point where it was a sustainable business. And I thought, yes, this is the real deal. And I think when that happens, then you have that belief that once you have a little bit of success, you know how to make more success. Fast forward to 2014, 2015. I was absolutely flogging myself and thinking that this was, this is the only way it could possibly occur. And you learn that the hard way, but flogging myself so much that I was completely and utterly exhausted. And that wasn't just through my work. That was from the imbalance of work and training and wanting to, I guess, set a good example. This is how you should live. But in the process, actually completely fatiguing myself and getting to the point where, I had no energy. And I'm sure there's a number of trainers out there who can probably relate to that in terms of their energy levels. We kind of live this very healthy life because we need as much energy as we can possibly get. And there is an imbalance there. You actually lose that social contact with people when you just stay in and need to go to bed early and not drink and start to not enjoy life. And you think, well, why am I doing this? I'm trying to help people, but at the end of the day, it's compromising my whole life so much that you start to resent it. I certainly started to resent what I was doing, which was really unhealthy. And so 2015, I found a mentor. And that mentor helped me put some things into place, which made me look at my business a different way, made me see my own value, or made me realize that I was worth more than I was charging, and worked on my own health. So that helped me get things back into balance again. And that resentment went away and things got even more successful. And, and it's an incremental thing, over the years between sort of 2015 and 2018, where we are now, obviously won the award, which you kindly alluded to before. And that was a really nice, pat on the back for, that work that had been put in, but the support that I'd got from my mentor, or mentors. And, it's a symbiotic relationship. Those people that have gone before you that have succeeded and have different knowledge or more knowledge than you've got to soak all that up and then convert it into your own language so that it works for you in your business. And that's what I did and continue to do. So have I dropped enough nuggets in there?
Let's have a bit of a break in there, and let's break some of those up. So few things that I love what you've said there, Rich, is the whole balance side of things. And because I had a very similar experience myself, and as you said, I'm sure half the people listening have. And I found that I was basically working every morning, every night, every day, not training myself, and also a bit of my mental health wasn't great. I was sort of getting a bit, I'm not going to say depressed, but I wasn't as happy and energetic as I usually was, wasn't as fit as I usually was. When I was running these boot camps, I wouldn't be able to keep up. I was getting gassed in my own boot camps, and I wasn't even participating. I was just teaching. So I thought, hey, this isn't good. I've got to do something about it. And there was this strength and conditioning class at the local gym. All right. And I always put it off because I'm like, no, I can't do it. I've got to train people. I can't go and train myself at 6:30 p.m. I've got to train other people. All right. And I finally bit the bullet, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a couple nights off. It's going to eat into my income by a couple $100 a week. So a couple thousands of dollars a year, but I'm going to do it for myself because I need to balance. And then funny enough, as soon as I gave up that those 2 days there, I was a lot happier, a lot healthier, a lot fitter. And then my boot camp numbers grew anyway, because I was obviously happier and fitter and healthier and less stressed and all those things there. So I think that's a key component to anyone listening there. And then also I love the mentor side of things as well, because that's something I struggled with when I started off, because I don't know if it's I can't put it, but I guess myself personally, I'm one of those people that, I can do it myself. I don't want to pay someone to teach me this, or, why would I pay someone maybe a bit of a pride thing. But as soon as I got rid of that and thought, hold on, I'm going to listen to what these people that have already done it, I saw my growth as a person, as a business owner, go through the roof. So let's maybe expand on that little point there. And I think also you do mentoring yourself now, Richard, right? You mentor other trainers? Perfect. Yep. Cool. So let's delve into what you've gotten out of mentoring. And then also, if anyone listening this, if you like what Richard's got to say, feel free to contact him. I believe it's the ptmentor.com. Is that where?
That's right.
Yeah, perfect. Cool.
Yep, so, absolutely.
I'll put these links in the description later. But yeah, run me through your experience of mentoring.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, there's some reward that you can get from being a mentor. It's amazing to see people succeed when you've helped them. But being a mentee, being on the receiving end of that, you're right. You need to get over that initial cost versus value problem. And if it's something you haven't done before, you've got nothing to relate it to. But you've got to see it as an investment, and it is an investment, because the potential for the reward or the potential earnings that can come from the improvement that you get by working with a mentor far outweighs the initial investment. And that takes time. It's not a one-on-one for one type thing. It's incremental, but it's compounding. So that curve just gets steeper and steeper in terms of your ability to earn when you've built the confidence, you've got the knowledge, you can implement it, and the whole combination of things occurs as a result of that mentoring relationship. And that more self-belief as a result of that process means that you see the value that you're prepared to charge. And people won't question it because they see that confidence in you, and they realize that, oh, this guy's good. He knows what he's talking about. He doesn't have any doubt. And often that's not what you say. It's the way that you portray it in body language and the things you don't say. So some of those things are things that you pick up along the way as a result of that relationship, and it's powerful. So I've got to a point now where I'm being asked to do some speaking. I've done some speaking out of choice, but then the being asked to speak has naturally just occurred. And being asked to do that and charging a little bit more for your time doing that, again, is that next hurdle of, I'm not sure I could charge that for that amount of time. And when you ask, it's not even questioned. And you go, oh, wow, okay, I'm now at another level again. So, it's an ever increasing spiral of confidence and value. Yeah.
Yeah, love it. And I can share a similar experience as well. So when I first hired a business coach, I think it was about $100 a week for a 10-week program. And at the time, my mindset was wrong. I was sort of thinking, this person better teach me everything. And I'm not sure if I'm getting my money's worth and blah, 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 blah. And, at the end of it, I wasn't overly happy. And I was like, okay, I'm not sure if that was worth it. Then someone asked me, okay, cool. Well, did you learn anything? Did you get any clients? I was like, yeah, I've used a couple of your strategies. I got 2 or 3 new clients. They're like, all right, well, how much do you charge? I was like, $50 a week. Okay, how long did they sign up for? About a year. You're like, all right, so you paid this guy $1,000 and you made, about $4,000 or $5,000 back. That sounds like a good deal.
That's a good return.
Well, that's it. And I thought about it. I was like, hold on, they're right. Maybe I should then reinvest this money I've made and invest in another mentor or coach, and then just keep growing and growing and growing, because all it takes is one thing, right? All it takes is one, especially in our industry, you get one client for a year. That's a fair income. And then also, I like how you said the confidence side of things as well, because what I believe is, if you're not willing to invest in yourself, why is someone else going to invest in you? Right?
Exactly.
And it's one of those things where I believe the more money and time you invest in yourself, the more confident other people are investing their money and time with you. If they're like, wow, Richard's done this course and Richard's doing that and Richard's out doing here. Hey, I'm pretty confident. I'm going to, pay Richard a few dollars, or I'm going to commit to this amount of time, because he's obviously committing to himself. So I love that. Now, what I'd like to go to, Richard, your presentation at FITEX last year, I absolutely loved, and I took so many nuggets out of that. I might be pulling because it's probably about a year ago now, but I just think my listeners will get a lot out of that. The whole don't be a vanilla trainer side of things. could you give us maybe your top 2 or 3 points from that? I know the points that I want to get out of that anyway. So if
Okay.
you skip over them, I can go into them. But what's your take on that? And what do you mean by don't be a vanilla trainer?
Sure. So yeah, don't be a vanilla trainer. And the reason I used that title was because there are multiple flavors of ice cream, and vanilla is always the starting point. And that everybody starts off vanilla in the industry, and vanilla is fine. Everyone loves vanilla, but vanilla is vanilla is vanilla. And people like a little bit of mint chopped chip or hokey pokey, and that's good too, because then there's other trainers out there that provide different services and different specialties that vanilla doesn't. And so that was the meaning behind the title. So find your flavor was the message, and really what I talked about was differentiation. So there are lots of ways of differentiating yourself, and I talked about different ways of doing that. But the way I explained it was that my journey has helped me differentiate myself from other trainers by getting to that point where I was exhausted, which we talked about before, and getting myself out of that exhaustion and understanding what that impact has had on my body. So understanding the adrenal fatigue, understanding the cortisol patterns, understanding the disturbed sleep and the hormone disruption. So getting myself back to health from that has meant that I can then serve clients out there who are in that same state for whatever reason they've got themselves into that state. And so my vanilla has become, well, I think I called it wasabi pea dust. So it's a random flavor of ice cream, but at the point being is that I'm not vanilla anymore, and therefore someone who is exhausted and is looking for me, and therefore I to search optimize my website according to those skills, they will find me, and therefore I will have clients, because that is the point of difference. So as I said, vanilla is okay, but at the same time you've got to be wary that if there's so much vanilla out there, you don't stand out. How are you going to grow your business?
Love it. Love it. And I love the way that Richard explained this last year, where a lot of personal trainers, why should you train with them? And their sort of reason is, well, hey, I'm happy, I'm energetic, I'm fit, I give good support. And hey, that's great. But so does every other trainer out there. So why is someone going to choose you over that other trainer? The only bargaining chip you've got is price. I'm cheaper, and nobody wants to win that race. Nobody wants to be the cheapest trainer out there, because someone's going to come along cheaper, and then your thing's gone there. So I think it's important to differentiate for that side of things there. And also just I feel like people expect those things anyway. Like if you're asking a trainer and you're like, oh, why should I choose you? Well, hey, I'm fit, I'm energetic, I'll give you support. The client or the prospect is probably like, well, hey, I was expecting that anyway. Like, that's the bare minimum. What can you give me that everyone else doesn't? And if you have some point of differentiation there, that's what allows them to choose you. And then the second point of that, I love how Rich has chosen his niche or his flavor, in that it's the situation that you used to be before. And I believe that's the best way that you can help someone, is if you've been in their books before. Because you can't be everyone to everyone, and you can obviously do things to further yourself. But if you've been in that person's situation before, you can just understand them and be so much more empathetic. So I love that side of things too. From here, Rich, what I'd like to go on to is if we could talk a little bit about FITEX for a couple different reasons. All right. Let's start with FITEX as a whole, and why any of our listeners, if they're sitting on the fence, why do we think they should go to FITEX? And then let's get more specific, and let's give them a bit of a sneak preview about what you're going to talk about at FITEX.
Sure.
But let's start FITEX on the whole.
FITEX on the whole. FITEX is amazing because, as you know, we need a certain number of ongoing education credits each year. And if you turned up to FITEX and nothing else, it would be enough for you to re-register as a registered trainer, which I think is an important thing. And the quality of speakers is very, very high. We have a lot of international speakers, so not just Kiwis. I'm glad to say that I've been picked again this year, which is nice, because I guess being a relatively new speaker, in the scheme of things, they like to keep it interesting and fresh, so there's not the same old recycled stuff. And the New Zealand guys, or the people that speak in the New Zealand conference, and I know you talked to this in one of your podcasts that I listened to, is their accessibility. They're very, They're accessible. They don't sort of come on stage, talk, and leave, and you don't get time to talk to them, and that's it. They're not superstars. They're just everyday people who have been in the industry and want to share their knowledge and help those people in the audience be better at what they do, because then the people out there who need us get better treatment. And you know, our statistics in Australia and New Zealand are not good in terms of, you know, health statistics, you know, obesity and diabetes and so on. So if we can be better at what we do because we're educating ourselves on an ongoing basis, we're going to be better more equipped, better to serve those people out there that actually need us. So yeah, FITEX is a fantastic annual event, and you have the awards dinner on the Saturday night. If you're keen on listening to some of the superstars out there who have really made a difference in the industry and get recognized for it. And then again, more lectures on the Sunday. So it's a fabulous weekend. So what am I doing? My Numbers 101. Numbers 101. So last year I talked about the how to not be a vanilla trainer. This year I wanted to talk about the finances. This is not a very interesting topic because not everybody wants to talk about numbers. But I think it's an important topic, and that's why I wanted to talk about it, because at the end of the day, we're in business. And if we don't have a firm grasp on the numbers, we're not really in business. That's just the reality, unfortunately, because the numbers are what make it a business and what make it go round. So the idea is that I'm going to talk about, I'm not an accountant. I'm not going to go into, you know, ratios, and I'm not going to go into debt, and I'm not going to go into balance sheets. I'm going to talk more about profit and loss. I'm going to talk about cash flow, and just on a relatively simple level, so that people can grasp those concepts, use them, and I'll provide some tools so people can actually take those away and use them in their business, so that they can be more successful. Because I want to be able to pass on those tips and tools that I've learned along the way in this business and previous businesses, to be successful. You know, if you get the finances right, everything else becomes so much easier. If you get the finances wrong, it's like pushing it uphill. So that's the plan. That's Numbers 101. Yeah.
Love it. Now I want to just expand on a couple points there. So let's start with FITEX. So yeah, I go to conventions, conferences all over the world. FITEX is one of my favorites because the quality of presenters is just as good as anywhere else in the world, just as good as FITEX. I just got back from IDEA. The quality is just as good. The sessions are a lot smaller, which I see as a positive. Right? I just got back from San Diego. There was 50 people in every single session. Right? Good luck trying to get all your questions answered, or, you know, spend some time talking to the presenters after. Over at FITEX, it's a lot smaller. I've been to, 5-10 people in there. It's almost like a little coaching session. It's amazing. So you get that personal support. There's also, it's just such a good community event. So when you go to, when I was in San Diego, it was spread over actually 2 different convention centers because there's just so many people. Same with FITEX, there's a lot going on. FITEX is all in the one place. And I think that's really cool because you just see everyone there. The same people that are in your lectures, you see them in your lunch break, you see them afterwards. A lot of people stay on the campus. So there's that twofold thing to it, where not only do you get a really good education side of things, but the networking side is amazing as well. And you get to meet a lot of people. So I love that there. And then numbers, I agree with you so much there, Rich. I think it's such an important thing, especially if you don't have a background in business. And I learned this the hard way myself. So when I started in the industry, I had a full-time job in a gym. So I was working 40 hours in the gym, mainly gym floor, bit of personal training, bit of group, and you get a few dollars extra if you do that stuff. Then I started running Bootcamp on the side. All right, and Bootcamp was 1 hour a day. And without doing too much of the maths, I found out that I was making the same amount of money running Bootcamp in 1 hour a day than I was in my full-time job at the gym. But it took me weeks or months to realize that, just because I never really sat down and did the numbers. And not coming from a business side of things, it just didn't make sense. I was like, well, hey, you make money by working a 9 to 5. That's what you do. You have a job, right? This thing's a bit of fun on the side. But then as soon as I sat down and did the numbers, I was like, hey, hold on. What happens if I stop doing the 40 hours here and spend that time, doing some sales and marketing and support and educating myself to grow my bootcamp? Hey, I think I can make even more on the bootcamp working even less. So I think that's important. And then even now that I do more online side of things, it's important for the scale side of things as well. Because now I look where every dollar goes. Okay, cool. If I spent this amount of money into Facebook ads, how much money did I make back from that. It's not just a guess thing. It's not just, oh yeah, I'll throw some money here and I'll see how that campaign goes there. I'm able to analyze every dollar. And then if I see that something is making me a lot of profit, hey, I'm going to put a few more dollars in that. If I see something's not making it, hey, I'm going to pull back. So I think that's a very important topic there. But anyway, just before we finish up, I like to ask everyone this question to finish up with. You're obviously a go-to person and a mentor in the fitness field. So a lot of personal trainers come and see you if they need a hand with something. Where do you go, Rick? Who do you learn from? Do you have any book recommendations, any podcast recommendations, any experts to follow on social media? Anything there?
Yeah, I've got a few. I've got an Audible account. Always on the go. Don't sit down and read much unless it's right at the end of the day. So I'm going to just pop that open and just rattle them off for you. So yeah, I love Audible because I'm either out running or walking the dogs, and I can be listening to your podcast or Jack Canfield's. That's the one I'm listening to at the moment. That's the one you even referred to.
Huge fan.
It's such a monster book. I've listened to like 4, and I'm still listening to his because he's put so much into it. It's phenomenal, and to the point where he's inspired me to write a book. That's how good it is.
I'm buying that book for sure.
It hasn't. I've only got the title so far. It could be a while.
What is the title? What is your title? Have you got the title?
I'm not sharing. Sorry, John.
That's so good.
I turned someone else down. I can't tell you and not tell them. So
fair enough.
When I'm ready, I'll let you know. So yeah, Audible is a really good place to go. The account gives you, you pay a monthly fee and you get a book per month, and that's about a good pace for me. I love a bunch of podcasts. Again, I'll rattle them off. I like the Wellness Guys. That's a great podcast. That gives you a lot of knowledge in the background around the health of side of things. Who else have I got? Tim Ferriss. Tim Ferriss is a great guy. His podcast is really good too. So I listen to his stuff. What else? Who else do I follow? Geez, I haven't got a list of people that I follow, but there's a bunch of stuff online that I follow and groups that I belong to. There's a guy in the UK. There's a guy in the US. There are groups, I guess, that you can stumble across because of your likes on Facebook. And some of them click and some of them don't click. And, when you find those, then again, I find that just another resource of information, people chatting. I belong to a nutrition group where I've done my local nutrition qualifications. And again, that's another forum for me to be able to chat with people with like-minded people in that nutrition space. So if I've got a curly question and I'm not sure what the answer is, I can put it out to them and they'll all start discussing it and come up with a solution. Same with my mentor group, the mentor group I belong to as a mentee, if the mentoree. We're a fantastic bunch who have been working together for about 3 years now. And we're pretty much family rather than just friends. There's stuff we know about each other, which is at a level of family rather than friends. And so able to share there as well and put stuff out there, which, sometimes can be a bit scary, but, they're people that understand you and know where you're coming from and can then come back with some really useful responses. So I'm kind of getting off topic to answer your question, but I guess the point is it's about finding places that provide the support and knowledge to help you be the best you. And it's not always just about reading books. Obviously, the books is a great one, but and podcasts. But finding those networks that again support your endeavors to be better at what you do.
Love it, and I love a few points there as well. I love the audio side of things because in today's society, a lot of people sort of say, "Hey, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that." Audio is something you can do as you're doing something else. Hey, you're going to go and work out anyway. Throw on an audio book. Hey, you've got to drive to the gym or drive to wherever you got to go. Hey, throw on an audiobook. Hey, you got to walk the dogs. Throw on an audiobook. So it takes no extra time there. And I read some stat, it was basically the average amount of people average amount of time that people drive per day. If you listen to an audiobook that time or a podcast, within a couple of years, it's like doing a university degree. You got that much time. So there's no real excuse not to further yourself with that side of things. And I love the social side of things as well with the Facebook groups, because that's another way because it's all about who you hang around with, right? If you hang around with negative people, you're probably going to be a bit more negative. Hang around with positive people, probably going to be a bit more positive. Maybe it's hard in your situation just to snap your fingers and go and find a whole heap of positive people to hang around with. But the internet is somewhere where you can find this place. You know, if you just get rid of any negativity on your Facebook feed and replace it with some positivity and support, that can go a long way as well. So I love that there. But hey, we're actually out of time, but I do want to give a few links for our listeners to go to. So firstly, Rich is a mentor himself. We've spoken a lot about mentoring. I strongly recommend speaking to Rich. You can find him at www.theptmentor.com. I strongly recommend having a look at that. I also recommend having a look at Rich's website, because his website is just really, really good. His fitness one that the clients and that would go to. Am I right in saying, Rich, www.f4l.co.nz and the 4 with number 4?
Correct.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. I'm going to put all these links in the description anyway, so if you missed writing them down, you can just click there. Just before I let you go, Rich, is there anything I forgot to ask? Anything I should have asked that didn't, or anything you want to leave us with?
Great question. I don't think there is actually, John. I think you've been doing this long enough now that you've got it pretty down pat. I've got to say, you're a great interviewer, and you know, you provide a perfect platform, and you ask some great questions. It gives the opportunity for people you're interviewing to really get the best out of what they've got to say. So no, nothing forgotten. So thank you very much.
No dramas. I'll see you at FITEX. All right, Rich?
Yeah, you will. Cheers. See you then.